Let's set up another type of rule based on the HTTP host or domain name that a client uses in their web browser. When a client enters the name of the website, that site will exist inside of an HTTP request, and within the header, it will be listed in the HTTP field called host right here. So within our plugin, our client access browser.routhub.local. So let's say that we have many HTTP domains that exist behind the same virtual server, but it will send the client to a different server pool based on the HTTP host that they are trying to access. The key field to use would be the host field right here, and that is what we're going to be setting up in this video. So let's move this aside, and this is the script that we will be applying. So let me talk about the overview of what this will be setting up. So we will be having 3 different domains that we have set up. We have W1, routhub.local, W2, and W3. But they all point to the same IP of our virtual server. So what we want is that any client that accesses w1.routhub.local, we want to redirect them to web server 1. If they're accessing any other domain, which will basically be W2 or W3, we want to forward them to web server 2. So that is what we want to accomplish, and this is the actual script that will accomplish that. So let me talk about this based on each of the iRule components. So the name of this rule will be called iRule or IR host. And again, this could be any name that you like. The event that we want to check must be HTTP request, which consists of HTTP headers and its content. For the condition, the query command that we will use will be HTTP, and the field that we want to look at specifically will be the host field. So if the host that the client enters is w1.routhub.local, if it matches that, okay, and we know that is mapped to the IP of the virtual server, it should be redirected to the pool W1, which has our first web server. But, which is the else statement, if the client uses some other domain name, which is mapped, once again, to the same IP of the virtual server, basically the W2 or W3 domain name, they will be redirected to the server 2 web pool. So we can use several else if statements right below here to match other HTTP host names that can redirect to other server pools. So this code is very similar to what we did for checking the client's web browser. But in this case, we are checking the host name that our client is using. And the parts of this code can be referenced once again on the Dev Central page. Let's bring that up. So once again, the event itself is HTTP request. That's what we are looking at. And for the conditions themselves, we selected HTTP host, which will return the value of the HTTP host header that we saw within our plugin. So once again, if you're not sure on the exact syntax or what is supported, this is where you can go and what we use for typing in the correct syntax. Now let's go ahead and copy the code here for the event group portion, not the name part. Let's copy that and let's move this aside. So here on our iRules page, we will create a new iRule script. We will define a name and we'll paste our code, and we will go ahead and finish to add our new script. Finally, let's apply this iRule to our custom virtual server. So let's go to our custom, let's go to resources, let's go to manage for iRules, and let's go ahead and select our new iRule and remove the other script, and then update our changes. With that completed, let's do a test. So we will open up a web browser. Let's go ahead and do that. Open up our Firefox browser. And we will go ahead and enter the domain name of w1.routhub.local. Okay. And great, that will redirect us to web server 1, which is correct based on our code. So if we access some other HTTP host, like W3, for example, let's go ahead and change that. Okay, that will redirect us to web server 2 based on the else condition, which we added as a catch-all. So that is how you can use iRules for redirecting clients based on the HTTP host name that a client could enter on their web browser.